last night about this case and their theory and how it didn't make any sense and how it didn't fit and how something is wrong. That occurred to me.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant.
It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Hey yo, what's going on? It's the Not Guilty Boyz. Check it back in. It's attorney Michael Campbell and my illustrious colleague, attorney Andrew Wilkerson. How you doing, Drew?
Hey man, it's all good, baby. Back to get the people what they need, what they want, man. Hey, y'all tap in. Y'all tap in. This the information y'all need. Y'all need to know why y'all checking these boxes. Let's do it.
As y'all can see, we got another special guest on the show with us today. We have attorney Idris Akinpelu, who is running for the 363rd District Court Judge in Dallas County, Texas. We're glad to have Idris on the show. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, man. It's good, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man. You know, I follow y'all for years, man. So good to see y'all doing this, and it's my honor to be here.
Appreciate
Well,
it,
I'm gonna start with a little story I got about Idris. Idris might not know this, but Idris is real good people, man. He was former Dallas County prosecutor, and he was a real good prosecutor at Dallas County. He would always make what I thought was fair deals. And if you know anything about practicing law, you know that when you're a prosecutor as an assistant district attorney, you're working under the purview of a district attorney. So you have to have the head DA's vision. You have to share his views on situations, and you have to be aligned with that particular head DA. But what I like about Idris, when we were out of Dallas and I had a case with him, he might not even remember this, Idris, but you made me an offer that I thought I would never get from any DA in Dallas. It was a felony case. You offered my guy a misdemeanor. He did not deserve a misdemeanor at all, but you was willing to offer him a misdemeanor. And, that just told me what type of person he was. I was glad to be able to get that worked out for my client. But then one day I'm in Tarrant County and I see Idris over there in Tarrant County. So I'm like, whoa. Because I know Dallas County didn't run Idris off. I think Dallas County is a great fit for Idris. But to see Idris take on the challenge of Tarrant County, if you know anything about Tarrant County, well, you know why I call it a challenge. That just said a lot to me about Idris' character, about the man he is. And man, I'm glad to know you, brother. I'm glad to have you on. So we gonna get it started off. You're running for judge out of the 363rd District Court, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's the 363rd Judicial District Courts in Dallas County, Texas. You know, primaries in March the 3rd.
Okay.
Very nice.
Just tell us a little bit about your legal journey. Where'd you go to school? How you started out in this career?
So I'm from, Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas, born and raised. This hoodie I got is actually my 4 Oak Cliff hoodie. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So born and raised in Oak Cliff. I actually got started because both of my parents said I like to argue a lot, so I should be a lawyer. Kind of like the typical thing that a lot of people get. And then just, so I grew up, Oak Cliff, poverty, seeing drugs, guns, violence. Most of, half of my friends were incarcerated or had some kind of dealing with the law. So it's like, I've been around this my entire life. So I always knew I was going to do some kind of criminal law. Then I went to Townview Law Magnet, over there on 8th Street. And, luckily I graduated valedictorian from there too. But while I was there, I was able to intern at the courthouse and I could see myself there. Because the first 2 years, you just go and watch court cases. And then the second 2 years, you intern for a judge. And so I interned for a judge and he let me follow defense attorneys, follow prosecutors, court shadow him, court coordinators. So I just got to see basically the whole courthouse and, experience that. And so I was like, yeah, I could definitely see myself doing that. So then I went to Cornell University for my undergrad. I actually majored in hotel administration.
Okay.
Funny enough, because it was so that was really just like a business degree, but I could cook every day. So they feed you your lunch and then you cook your dinner. So I was poor college student. That was right on my alley. Yeah, doing that, learned a bunch of business, learned a bunch of finance, accounting. And then I was like, yeah, let me just go straight to law school, because I actually tried to take a detour to teach for America. But after a summer there, I was like, yeah, let me just go to law school. It takes a special type of person to be a teacher and to do that every single day. And it just like that just didn't fit me. So that's when I knew for sure. I was like, yeah, law school is me. And then went to law school, University of Texas School of Law down there in Austin. Graduated 2013, passed the bar, and then came back up here and started working at the DA's office in Dallas County, where I worked for about like 9 years, and then transitioned to Tarrant County, for different challenge, a little bit more. And I was there for about the last 3 years until about October of this year, and then I opened up my own firm. It's actually it's Idris Law. .com, and so where I've been doing criminal defense and personal injury for just last couple months.
And I know you've been
Okay.
on the defense side just a short amount of time, but maybe Drew can elaborate on this. Drew always talks about the best type of judges we could have is ones that have experienced both sides of the V, the state side and also the defense side. What do you think about that assessment?
I definitely think that's a fair and that's a good assessment. It just also depends on the type of person. Because even to me as a prosecutor, the first thing I do is think about how is the defense attorney gonna defend against it. So it's like I'm going through, or I'm trying my best to go through your mental process and see, hey, what's the spin? What's the what am I overlooking? Is there a gap in something? So it's like, to me, I just feel like it depends on your case evaluation and how you look at it. And I don't want to say necessarily I'm defense oriented, I'm prosecution oriented. I just evaluate the case and then I try to make the right thing happen out of that case. For example, like you said with that case for a felony to a misdemeanor, it's still keeping in line with the the DA's policy, everything. I'm still at the end of the day going to I'm not going to compromise my own morals and everything. So if I see something's not right or I see something shouldn't be, then I'm going to make the appropriate rec. I always told myself I'd never be at the DA's office if I had to do something that I'm uncomfortable with or I had to do something that wasn't right. So, I'm happy that in my 12 years I never had to do that. Even if I've had disagreements with, the person in charge, like I always think for myself. So I just feel like it just depends on what kind of person, you're talking about. That person's only like, hey, you need to send everybody to prison, nobody needs a second chance or stuff like that, then that's the type of prosecutor that you don't want to necessarily see as a judge. But if that person
Right.
Evaluates the whole thing and sees there's a lot bigger things than particularly like this one mistake or something like that somebody made, or even if they're like making a whole bunch of dumb mistakes, it's like, has anybody tried to guide them? Has anybody rehabilitated them? So it's like, I just feel like it just depends on your mind frame. So my mind frame has always been like, I knew I could transition to being a defense attorney because at the end of the day, I think through all sides, and that's what that's what we do as attorneys anyway.
Right. And I
Absolutely.
think that gives just having experience on both sides of the ball, I think it gives you an incentive to be fair to both sides. People that have only prosecuted, sometimes, I'm not gonna name any names, anything, but some certain judges that have only prosecuted, they lean more towards the prosecutor. We'll tell people about some of our trials, and they'll say, "Man, that judge is like a third prosecutor or a prosecutor on the bench." Like these are things that people see and latch on to. But yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I just, I'm glad that you dabbled in both sides, man, because it gives you the ability to let your moral compass not wane, one particular direction, and you could focus on, what's the best solution, man. And rehabilitation, that's good, man. Because some judges on the bench, they think this is strictly punishment
Now,
oriented. You see what I'm
to me,
saying?
to me, it's never supposed to be that, and it never has been that in Dallas. That to me, that's not how it should be. It's like, I was like, funny enough, my first defense experience was back in law school. Like I was doing the criminal defense clinic for about a year. So, but that was just, the misdemeanor clients and everything like that. So I was like, that was my first taste of that. And I was like, seeing that, I was like, I know I can do that too. It's like, but I had, definitely I had a plan. I was like, gonna get this 10 years, get all my loans forgiven, get my pension. And then it's just like, gonna expand my repertoire. And so it's like, I always knew I was gonna be a defense attorney at some point in time. And so then, I was like, regardless of if I was running for judge or not, I would have been a, defense attorney. I made the decision to become a defense attorney before I made the decision to run for judge. So
Well,
it's
Yeah,
man,
like,
man. Go ahead, Mike. I was gonna say, what's up with the defense attorneys not being able to get their loans forgiven? we are patrons of the community, just like the prosecutors, man. I always hear people say that, and they say you
That's
gotta work in
funny.
the DA's office to get
Yeah.
forgiven, but it's like we helping folk too. You know what I'm saying?
I've always said that too, because it's like it's indigent defendants. It's like, so you guys basically, it's like we're taking lower paid jobs or whatever, in the government or community, just so we can, get some kind of service, and then we get our loans forgiven. I'm like, you guys, like, you're appointed, you know what I mean? Especially, all the ones that you're appointed on. You get appointed on that, it's a flat fee if it's a misdemeanor, it's varying fees. You may not even get your whole thing, when it's a felony. And then you guys got to go through and like deal with indigent defendants. I feel like that's a public service in itself.
Yeah, man. I mean, 10 years on the wheel.
Yeah, it's a constitutional thing.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
I don't know why they don't do y'all like that, man. But they definitely hooked us up, so I can't even be mad at it. Like,
nah, for sure. So man, I mean, with you playing on both sides of the ball, knowing how it is to be a defense attorney, knowing the ropes as a prosecutor as well, are there any policies you trying to implement? Is it anything that you kind of want to zero in on and focus on?
Like, so one of the things that I've always I want there to be like an evidence deadline, for example. So it's like if something gets set for trial, at that point in time, it's like, unless it's some kind of weird or extenuating circumstances, it's like, we've seen this case. There's been plenty of ample time. It got indicted. It's like all of these steps have happened before all of these court cases. I mean, all of these court settings that happened. There shouldn't be new evidence coming up. Because if there was, that means somebody was dropping the ball. That's why, like, when they had that case that, that just came in, like, they put the responsibility of like discovery on the prosecution. I was like, that's perfect. Because at the end of the day, it's like, prosecution should be hitting up the police and being like, do I have everything that you got? Did you look everywhere? Because it's like, how is somebody going to be able to defend themselves if they don't have all their evidence? And so it's like, I want there to for sure be like some kind of discovery deadline and everything like that. There's a bunch of different programs that I want to do. For example, like, for youth offenders. One of the things that I've always said, like, if you get like those super violent crimes, like the aggravated robberies, the aggravated assaults, what diversion program is there for that? You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, cool. That person's not eligible for anything, so we just got to throw that person away. And I'm like, do we even know the circumstances? Is there something that we could actually do to intervene and prevent this? Because it's like, we're not making anybody better just by sending them to prison. So it's like, I definitely want to focus on the youth and like make sure I have diversion programs in to like even to tackle even those, a lot of these kids right now, like, for example, like the kid who just shot somebody, after winning the championship.
Yeah.
It's like, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like something like that. It's like, should you throw that kid away? No, you shouldn't throw that kid away.
Are you going to treat him like the guy that shoots the club up or shoots it's like they put them all in the same bucket, man. So that's big.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to make sure that I could do things like that. And it's like, I know as a judge, it's like, when you get there, you're in charge of the probation. You're in charge, you conduct court, you have to hold people to certain standards. You hold the prosecution, you hold the defense to that. And it's like, I want to be fair to both sides and make sure that everybody like gets a fair shake and trial. It's like, there's no personal vendettas for me. There's no nothing. It's just, I'm about the people. I'm about making sure that, justice is done in my court.
Okay.
No, I feel you, man. That age group you talk about, I hear you say youth, but you talk about the YNs, you talk about that age group between 17.
About 17 to 23s, 25.
That age group has showed up, has increased the numbers of violent crimes in the area. And we want to, older generation, we want to be able to help these young people through the situations.
Right.
I mean, not just turn our backs on them because they don't understand how to cope with things not going their way. They don't understand how to cope with like bad situations. And, I think that's a good idea to have something in place for those YNs who just are needing some guidance, some mental mature guidance to get them through certain situations. Judge, I think that's a good idea. What I wanted to also ask you is you're running for 363rd. What are your top 3 platform ideas? I know you mentioned integrity and transparency. Can you go over all 3 of your campaign ideas?
Okay. So as far as integrity is like my reputation speaks for itself. It's like with the people that I worked with, I've had the pleasure of working with you. Drew, I don't think I've had the pleasure of working with you too extensively or anything like that, but I hope you've heard good things about me. So my integrity in both
I had a couple
advocacy.
cases with you, man. I
Yeah, I
got
was
some
like
good
back, yeah, I
offers
was like
from you.
back in the day.
Yeah, I got some
Yeah,
good
right.
offers from you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, yeah, back in, yeah, I was like, I know we never got to trial or anything like that, but like, yeah, definitely, we, you know what I mean? So it's like my integrity, I hope it speaks for itself, and
Sure.
that's for sure that I'm running. Transparency is like I feel like everybody in that courtroom should be educated, especially the defendant. Sometimes they don't know their full rights. Sometimes they don't know their options. But sometimes the victims don't know their options. Sometimes, whoever. Sometimes the prosecutor hasn't looked at the case file completely. It's like I want to make sure that everything is very transparent. Everybody understands everything that's happening. There's no hiding the ball. It's like I said, I just want to focus on just straight justice. You know what I mean? And it's like it's about respectability. It's about integrity. It's about like I've had the experience. I've been in over 100 trials. So as far as like leading or assisting, especially like in Tarrant County, it was like I was going through 10 trials a year at least. For example, I was like, and I just won like the trial dog award for the most trials at Tarrant County in 2024. So it's like I'm in that courtroom. I bring that experience. I know what needs to be done. I know how rulings and how law should be applied. It's like, and I know how it should be applied on both sides to be fair to both sides. So it's like that's what I want to keep doing.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, as far as I know you from Oak Cliff. You
Yes,
talked
sir.
about community focused leadership.
Yes,
Community
sir.
focused leadership. How do you plan on implementing that into your campaign?
Well, so for example, it's like I just want to make sure that like I'm always listening and talking to the community. For example, like I'm on the board of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Dallas. I've been on there for a while. That gives me that's one of the avenues I have that has like a direct pipeline into talking to the community and seeing what people really need that are really in some kind of that are in some kind of peril. And it's like talking to being able to talk to different community leaders, being out there, being accessible. Like, I want everybody to know that my courtroom is always public. So it's like you can just walk up in there. Like that's how you're supposed to be able to do. If I'm here or whatever, you just walk up in there. It's like everybody needs to know that this public. If there's some kind of hearing going on, do that. Because I want the community to also be see how justice and how the court system works. And it's like that way they'll be able to give me even more feedback as far as like, hey, this is what we want to see done, or this is, why isn't this done? And it's like that's part of that transparency. It's like I'm gonna be able to explain that to them. And so it's like I just want to always be accessible and transparent with everybody that I can possibly be.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Being a native of Dallas, man, why do you think the Dallas County needs you as judge?
I think they need me because it's like I understand, what they've been through. I've lived here my entire life. I've been, from the poorest to, now making a decent living as an attorney and everything. So I'm able to take care of myself and my family a little bit more. Know all sides of, it's like I know all sides of the court. And it's like I've been here. I understand what this community needs. And, I'm available to listen. I'm accessible. I'm like I said, I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to be, very accessible to the community so everybody can understand how this justice system works because it's supposed to work for all of us and it's supposed to be fair for all of us. And so we have to understand it. And it's like me being a native, son of, Dallas County, it's like I can bring that relatability. It's like I've been here all my life. I've seen how the laws have changed. I've seen how people are getting all these exonerations because we made so many mistakes back in the day. And that doesn't even necessarily only go on the prosecution. That also goes on the judge too. So it's like that's also something that it's like I'll be able to closer look at these cases and step in wherever I need to step in. And so it's like that's always been my goal is like to give back to my community. I've always wanted to serve my community. That's why the first thing I did was like take a DA job because it's like you're trying to protect and serve your community. But I'm not like a cop or anything like that. So you got to use your nerd powers and however you get to.
Boy, I said I'm not like it.
No, it's like
That's funny. Yeah, man. I think you being from Dallas, African American man from Dallas, I'm
yes, sir.
sure you experienced a lot.
Yeah,
Growing up in the neighborhoods and seeing a lot growing up in the neighborhoods. Dallas County, we've had this wave of female judges to take over, but we haven't had a wave of African American men, if you notice, to take over.
For sure.
How do you
It's
think?
like,
Go ahead.
I was saying, like, yeah, for for whatever reason, my brothers haven't necessarily been called to serve or whatever, but I've always had this kind of dream in my head that I was going to be a judge, that I wanted to run, and that, because I know there's ways that you can affect change from that, from that bench, and that's basically what I want to do. So it's like, that's what I hope, my candidacy encourages more black men to get in, but it's like, because we definitely need to be represented. Because if you think about it, what they say, 60 to 70% of Dallas County jail is black and brown people, and then, black and brown males. And it's like, none of us are on the bench, or like, we just got Ernie White and he's about to retire. So it's like, there's nobody that like looks like them that's ever going to be in the court with them. So it's like, I definitely would rather change that.
Well, tell us a little bit. I know you said that your mom and dad are from Nigeria.
Yeah. So I was like,
Okay.
yeah. So if you see when you see the difficult name or whatever, it's Akinpelu. That is from both of my parents. They're from Nigeria. They both like came here separately, met in Oklahoma actually,
Okay.
and then got together and then moved down to Dallas and had the kids. So that's where, like, my name comes from. Idris Akinpelu. But like I said, born and raised in Oak Cliff with those parents. So it's like, I had those. I was raised in that environment as well as just Oak Cliff environment. So it's like, that's the kind of person. That's how I've been. It's like, since I've been a kid, I've been dipping and dabbling in certain things, and my mom's Igbo, my dad's Yoruba, so that's a mix that doesn't even happen in Nigeria. So like that, yeah, navigating those waters is also interesting as well too. So it's like, yeah, I definitely got a plethora of experience in, like, different type of environments.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool, man. It's just, man, lastly, man, first of all, we want to thank you for coming on, giving us your time. Is there any upcoming events or any upcoming campaign fundraisers you can invite the people out to?
So the week of January the 12th, we're gonna be having a fundraiser. I'm getting that location stamped down and everything like that. But we're gonna be having a fundraiser. Fundraiser is more like a meet and greet. I want that to be, somewhere where, they can see me, talk to me, ask me questions. Cause every time, I go out to all these campaign events or I talk to people, they're just like, I've never met a judge before. Let me ask this question, or let me ask this. And so to me, that's always been welcome. That's always welcome. That's what I want to do out there. And so the website is idrisforjudge.com. It's like Idris Elba, but that's kind of the wave that I'm riding. It's like, yeah. So it's like, it's easier for judge on every single platform. So it's like, if anybody wants to follow on any kind of social platform, it's just Idris for Judge, all one word. So trying to keep it simple and, trying to get the message out there.
What about your social media handles? Where can people find you on social media?
So that's all on Twitter, even TikTok, Instagram, everything is Idris for Judge. And that's it. It's Idris for Judge. You can just, just tap into that. You can follow everything that's going to be on there, the campaign photos, information. And, one thing is, like, a lot of people don't even know if they're registered to vote or anything like that. Or they think they're registered to vote, but like they've been purged, their ballot's been purged or something like that because they haven't voted in a year or two. So it's like, going to be giving people information and resources on how to, re-register. Because like a lot of people don't even know that, like, the postage to re-register is free. So you just got to print the thing out, fill out the application and send it in, and you got it right there. It sucks that you got to do a physical one, but it's there. So it's like, giving people more information on, how to make sure they're registered to vote, when to vote, and, just spreading the word and spreading awareness. That's where I'm at right now.
You heard it here first, people, live and direct. Brother Idris Akinpelu running for the 363rd Judicial Court of Dallas County. Y'all go follow him on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social medias at Idris for Judge, forjudge.com is his website. I just got off of it myself. He has a lot of great things in there, more information about his platform and the policies and the things that he stands for. We really appreciate you just coming on, man, taking your time out. Drew, you got any last words?
Hey, folks, let's get them in there, man. Let's get him in there. Simple as that. Y'all know what he stand for. He's come on his platform to let you guys know the good, the bad, and the ugly about everything going on. Check that box, man. Check the box. Y'all see the integrity. Y'all heard about the hard work. You know, let's go and give him a shot at judge, man.
Yeah,
Hey, we're
thank
going
you.
to help you get in there, brother.
Hey, bro, I appreciate that, man. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm always accessible for questions. So it's even idrisforjudge@gmail.com if anybody has questions. So
See?
Idris, tell the people when is the primary. I think it's March 3rd.
yes. Yeah, so the primary voting day is March the 3rd, and then February 17th is when early voting starts.
February
Okay.
17th, Dallas County, early voting. Y'all get out and y'all support this brother. We need to get more like him in office and on that bench. So
Thank
we
you, sir.
appreciate y'all tuning in to another great Not Guilty Boyz episode. We're gonna plan to get y'all more and more of these candidates as they come as we can. We want to thank everybody. Y'all continue to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. And tell your friends to go check out the Not Guilty Boyz podcast. I'm Mike Campbell. We checking out.
Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for having me, man. It's been a blessing.
100%, man.
Oh man,
We're going to get you back, man, after you win, man.
Hey, bro. Whenever you know you got me. Whenever y'all need me, bro. I'll be on her.
For sure.
Above entitled action, find the defendant.
It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
We need to throw good in.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant not guilty of the crime of murder. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, further find the special circumstance that the defendant has in this case been convicted of at least one crime of murder of the first degree and one or more crimes of murder of the first or second degree to be not true. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is this your verdict? So say you one, so say you all.